Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. It's Kyla here, your host, and today we have for you guys Brendan, aka Trekky Johnston, and he is one of Australia's most accomplished and versatile cyclists, excelling across mountain biking, gravel racing, and road cycling. He's a cornerstone of the Giant Australia off-road team, and Johnston has captured 6 Australian cross-country marathon national championships and swept the prestigious Triple Crown mountain bike stage races, port to port, reef to reef, and cape to cape. He's also a former winner of the Melbourne I'm going to say this wrong, Warrnambool Classic, and a consistent contender at national level road races. In 2023, Johnston took his talents to North America to compete in the high-profile Lifetime Grand Prix Gravel Series. He impressed immediately, earning podium finishes at Big Sugar Gravel and the Rad Dirt Fest, ultimately placing 7th overall. In 2024, he returned stronger than ever, finishing 4th overall in the series, his best result yet, and notching another podium at Big Sugar Gravel. Back on home soil, Johnston has continued to dominate Australia's gravel scene with wins at UCI Gravel World Series events like Gravelista and Seven. His consistent performances have made him one of the top gravel riders globally. Beyond racing, Johnston is a proud father to his 5-year-old daughter, a central part of his life and motivation. Whether training, traveling, or racing, Brendan is driven not only by the competition, but by being a positive role model for his daughter and a grounded presence in her life. As a cancer survivor, Johnston also marked 10 years in remission in 2019 with a custom Giant Anthem Advanced Pro 29 bike, a tribute to his resilience and passion for the sport. Now based in Canberra, Australia, Johnston continues to push boundaries, balancing elite competition with fatherhood and a deep love for the off-road cycling community. This is a great episode. He shared tons of fantastic nuggets on his fueling and hydration routines, and for Unbound actually coming up. So hopefully you guys already watched that and we know how it all turned out, but enjoy the listen. All right, you guys, we have for you Brendan Johnston. Oh my gosh, I just confirmed it with him too right before I hit record, and I call you Johnson, not Johnston. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We are excited to pick your brain and learn from you. So we're going to breeze over our 2 truths and lie today. Maybe we'll get those from Brendan later in an email or something. We can share some little nuggets for our listeners to guess in the future and see learn some fun facts about you. But right now, why don't we take it back a ways and share with us what got you into cycling, like way back. When did that happen?
A long time ago. I'm getting to be one of the more veterans of, well, particularly our scene here in the US at 33 years old. But no, I started cycling and mountain biking, that kind of thing, when I was about 10 years old. I just followed in the footsteps of my my dad, and he was doing like triathlon and some road cycling and this kind of thing. And we got to I got into some of that, and then we went to a mountain bike race and really enjoyed that. And honestly, I just progressed in the mountain bike space for a long time, but had some illness when I was in my late teens, cancer, in fact, which like kind of altered where I was headed with the sport. Came back to it in my early 20s, and then just kind of forged a bit of a career in endurance mountain biking, road cycling domestically in Australia. I did some trips for mountain bike World Cups and that kind of thing. But yeah, mostly just kind of made a name for myself in Australia, and really got a really solid thing going there alongside a full-time work role. And then so that's kind of where I got started and how it went on.
Nice. And when you said you did do some triathlons, it sounds like?
Not me, my
Your
my old
dad.
man did.
Yeah. What distance was he doing, out of curiosity?
He did Ironman, so he did
Wow.
Kona one time. I
Yeah.
think he faulted. He tells the story of failing on the really hot, what do they call it? Like when you run across the volcano, it's like the incinerator or something.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
goodness.
he got really sick there.
Oh,
I
no.
think that probably speaks to the way nutrition was then compared
Yeah.
to nowadays.
Yeah. For sure. So
Yeah.
with the mountain, going from mountain biking to gravel, what was the distances you were stretching into with mountain biking?
I mean, I did like Olympic cross country distance in
Hmm.
the beginning, and then I moved to more stage racing and
Mm.
marathon style races, so like Cape Epic,
Mm.
yeah, things like that.
That's cool.
Which was, and then it just ebbed and flowed, and gravel came along, and then a lot of us guys and girls were well poised to be a good, successful gravel riders because we have a
Yeah.
skill set from mountain biking and then endurance. For me, at least, I'd done a lot of road racing over the time, and you have tactics and skill that come from there, and then you combine it all, and voila, you have a gravel rider racer.
Amazing. I find that a lot of the mountain bikers that have the endurance obviously do really well in the gravel. What was your perception, or maybe if anybody like said this to you, but I remember the first time I did Unbound, everyone was like, "Oh, the rocks out there, the gravel, it's so chunky." But I come from a mountain biking background, so what was your when you like first hit something like that? Are you like, "This feels like it might as well be a paved road," or were you like, "This is chunky"?
No, for sure. It is funny the read. I mean, and a lot of I think there's a lot of talk around different events. In the lead up to events. Oh, there's this section, that section, um, and then you go and you do the recon, and it's coming from a mountain bike background. It's like, what even was that? I
Yeah.
think I actually remember the first race I did in the US in this like last few years was a BWI in California,
Mm.
and there was like the first off road section. I remember getting to the finish of it, and I was pretty intimidated because there were some really good riders there, and I think we like. I just remember Finstey and myself rolling out the other side, and he's like, "Man, like you must be a mountain biker or something," and we like fist bumped after the because we look back and there's like no one, and it's
Yeah.
like I was like, "What?" Like it seemed like much to me, but
Yeah.
so yeah, but it's interesting, and because those same people have other strengths that maybe we don't have, or some other you
Yeah.
know pure mountain bikers don't have, the endurance or some tactical things or things like that. So I think honestly that's why I enjoy it so much. Is there's people from all different
Mhm.
walks of cycling that arrive and are then set with the challenge of something which combines skills from all disciplines.
Yeah, 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 certainly. So with kind of that movement through the different types of distances and mountain biking and gravel and all that, what was nutrition and maybe even hydration like in the when you were doing mountain bike races versus, or how has that evolved, I guess I should say, now that you're doing gravel?
It's insane, as I'm sure you're aware, that the leaps and bounds that we've made. And I don't think you see it so much in like the cross country style racing because, and also I was a bit younger. I think you can get away with a bit more.
Mhm.
But there was that whole phase of trying to be really skinny and trying to train on minimal fuel and get home and try and be really really lean and not eat so much and just really unhealthy habits that really just didn't was not yeah, didn't help your performance at all, hindered
Yeah.
in fact. And I wish in those I won a lot of marathon races 7 or 8 years ago in Oz. Like we had a big marathon scene. It's not so much now, but even in that era, like had I have been consuming the amount of fuel that I am now, like it would have been insane how much better you'd been. Like when I
Yeah.
first started doing marathons, I just it became normal that within the last 20 or 30K that you come apart and you
Mm.
cramp and you just limp to the finish, and everyone's this mystery of why this happens, and it's like now it's like very obvious.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I don't know how that like slipped through the cracks. To yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And well,
it's
people, it's hard to
nutritional
eat.
information, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So what was like if you were taking in any nutrition then what was it? Do you remember?
I there was a long period where I thought that in your bottles you just needed like hydration, so electrolytes. And then maybe you have in a marathon, maybe I would have like 10 gels or something.
Wow.
Which the little goo gels say, which are 20 grams of
Yeah.
carbs, just 200 grams in a 5 hour race, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But that was like that was what people were doing, you know, and
Yeah.
no one really knew any better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy to think now. Like on next Saturday, we'll probably take in over 1,000, 1,200,
Hmm.
1,200 grams of carbohydrates.
Wow.
So it's made some leaps and bounds, and you know I think people who were early adopters of the high carb thing probably had a good advantage, and I wish I was one of them, but I'm really well and truly there now, which is nice.
Yeah, that's great. So talking about next weekend, you said 1,200 grams of carbs throughout the race. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
What are you targeting, or are you targeting like a gram per hour that you feel like you operate well on, or?
yeah. I've sort of been playing around with that.
Hmm.
To I think in this race it'll be more. It'll be probably around 130 an hour ish.
Nice. Wow. Yeah.
It's like yesterday I did a bit of a simulation. I did the first 2/3 of the Unbound route,
Hmm.
and I kind of realized that I'm probably going to need like to have a water source.
Hmm.
So I typically will just run fuel in bottles and pack like in the liquid
Hmm.
as well as gels. But when it's like I don't know, it seems like it gets kind of warm out there, and obviously the time that you're having to
Yeah.
consume for is long. It's the whole day.
Hmm.
People say, "Oh, how long is Unbound?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just from when you wake up till like the nighttime, pretty much. Like
Yeah.
it's the whole day."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think having a water source, like plain water, is
Hmm.
probably going to be necessary for me. So then that like means maybe I take more gels,
Hmm.
or mix one of the bottles or the pack stronger with,
Hmm.
with the fuel. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you like with the start of races these days, they're just like hot out the gate. Do you have a different fueling strategy that you use in the first couple of hours with that fast start and then move to something different, like a like liquid or pack nutrition in the beginning versus more gels later, or?
No, I think I'll stick to like a just a rigid. At 22 minutes, I take a gel,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I work on that kind of thing, and I keep it consistent. I think um, maybe in some other races it's a little different. It's a little
Hmm.
harder, but particularly here, the first 50K or so, 60K is um, it's hectic in the group, but it's like it's possible to fuel well, and it's not like the race is not going to split up, and
Yeah.
you're not going to get caught out. So I think it's the first couple of hours of the race is like to me really important to like get into that rhythm of eating and drinking,
Hmm.
and like get on top of that early, and then kind of try and keep it going for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
When it does get a little more hectic, and you may be, there's a point where you don't feel like taking a drink because you've had
Hmm.
lots of drinks. So if the race is stressful, then maybe you're inclined not to do that, and that's when it becomes harder, I think.
Yeah, definitely. With the terrain out there and the temperatures. I know in past years there was like thunder and lightning, and then there's like 108 degrees, and you get a variety of different exposure to the elements. Do you adjust your hydration or sodium content based off of what the weather's looking like that day?
For sure, if it's looking to be hot, like it's looking to be 80 at the moment, which is
Mm.
not it's not insane, but like having felt it out there yesterday at a similar temperature, it was hot enough that I decided that I'm probably going to take an extra flask of water
Mm.
each time. I think the sodium hasn't been a big problem for me in the past, or ever really. So
Nice.
that's nice. But yeah, I think just hydration for
Hmm.
me, and cooling maybe,
Hmm.
water is something that I'm probably gonna step up a little.
Mhm.
If it's going to be 80 or more,
Yeah.
it's easy to think that that's not that hot, but like, I don't know. I feel like once you're out there, um, depending on what the wind's doing, you can find yourself on a climb or something that, and you do feel the heat. And I think you just don't want to be feeling that at all if you
Yeah.
can in this length of a race and this length of a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And for our listeners that don't know, it's a 200-mile gravel race if they're not familiar with Unbound. So with the cooling mechanism, I think that is such a helpful area for people, and a lot of people, I was more newbies, I would say for sure, but don't even think about doing that. Um, how do you like prioritize your cooling? Is it just like when you go through your support stations, you're getting water on yourself, or like you're saying, carrying an extra bottle of plain, or you getting ice in your jersey? Like, how are you keeping core temperature down?
Yeah, we use like a ice stocking,
Hmm.
so like stocking, so that obviously when the it melts, it just like melts onto you rather than
Hmm.
into a bag or something.
Hmm.
Which just works really well. Like
Yeah.
I've done races in the past where I've grabbed like a huge, two or three, like a bunch, and that works incredibly well. And um, yeah, if you can drop that core temperature like
Yeah.
in those moments, then like at that later points in the race, the advantage is insane, and
Yeah.
it's completely overlooked. And I did for sure. I was like, I mean, I'll be fine if I drink enough or whatever, but I think it's a really big element. And yeah,
Yeah.
so we grabbed those ice stockings in the aid stations. It's getting harder and harder to get like the things you need at the aid stations because it's becoming part of the race.
Hmm.
But I think we have a good plan. We have good support, and we'll be able to do that. So, and then there's that whole thing about like, if you give away 10 seconds, but you have more fuel or more
Hmm.
cooling, it's probably worthwhile. It's just
Yeah.
balance that you have to find of speed and, yeah, just the practicality of getting what you need.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, if we carry an extra flask of water, even just shoved up the jersey
Yeah.
to drink and to pour over ourselves, I think is really good. And in doing like some heat preparation as well back home.
Hmm.
So in Australia, it's getting colder.
Mm.
So that was really helpful, I think, which I've done a lot of in the past. I think it prepares you well, and yeah, just a matter of thinking about that heat and how you're going to combat it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you, when you do your heat training, is it out in the like environment, like when it is warm in Australia? Are you doing sauna? Are you doing a paint suit? Like what's your heat
Yeah, I
training?
just do like on the ergo with with like a big hefty jacket and
Yeah,
longs and a hoodie and like essentially the suit thing.
layers. Yeah.
Um, yeah, previously like my coach and I have done it as just a really low intensity effort for 1 hour,
Hmm.
just so as to not add it to the training load. It's more like it's a training load, but on your cardio system rather than like adding
Hmm.
a load to your legs. But this year we've like moved to some like medium style interval work,
Hmm.
and doing it on heart rate. So going away from power,
Yeah.
yeah, and using heart rate as the guide to see um, how the heat is affecting
Hmm.
the effort. And it's nice to feel that in training, I guess, before yeah, you may see it in a race such as Unbound.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. Do you use with your coach the like the core body temp sensor out of curiosity?
I don't actually. We were talking about starting to use it, but I think from his perspective, like, yeah, you can get into the finer details of it. But in terms of like how it would alter what we did, I don't know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that I think I will get to.
Hmm.
I mean, there's so many things now that you're working with and have to keep on top of that. Like, it's sometimes it's overloading to
Yeah.
add
Totally.
another field of data. But yeah, I mean, there's a base like understanding that when it's hot, you fatigue more, and you need
Yeah.
to combat that. So if you're doing the right things, then that's a start, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. With the gut training, 130, well, you didn't say gut training, but I'm curious. Tolerating 130 grams of carbs per hour, roughly for several hours, like you're saying, morning till night, at a like high intensity. How long did it take your system basically to tolerate and get used to that amount?
I think it takes a lot, like many tries,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need to incorporate it into your training. But that also like becomes kind of hard because not all your training rides are
Yeah.
um, thousand um, 1,000 gram rides, so maybe you only do one of them a week, or
Mm-hmm.
Unbound training block, maybe you do a few more, so it's a bit easier to like have those practice runs. But it is hard to like consume that amount healthily.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
you have to be doing the work obviously to require it, so it means you have to go and do really big training rides.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, can be pretty good. But yeah, it just like, even yesterday I did a training with the race kind of fuel strategy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing that, like, it was basically preparing for a race. And that
Mm.
um, fortunately we have like the feed as a partner, which is really nice, and
Nice.
makes that super easy. And obviously not cost, it doesn't cost a lot, or
Right.
but for I was just thinking, like, if you had to pay for all this stuff, in several times to runs, like
Mm-hmm.
several practice runs, it's going to add up. And
Yeah.
so there's that as well. And then there's obviously alternatives, so you can like have not sports fuel as such. You can do some baking or whatever, and do it that
Mm-hmm.
way as well. But
Yeah.
I think for me at this level, it's like important to simulate, the actual products that you're going to use in the race. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm lucky that we can do that. And yeah, I think it takes several practice runs, and almost like a season of
Mm-hmm.
racing or more. It's just like, and then it's changing as well. People having more carbohydrates. It's
Mm-hmm.
130 was enough now, or is enough now, but maybe in a year's time it's 180, or like you can. It just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's changing. And but yeah, you learn to like find out what you can tolerate. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it does get a little unknown here because of the length, like a
Yeah.
10-hour race, 9 or 10 hours. I don't think really you need to do that in training at all. It's like
Yeah.
Ironman. Like, my coach is now an Ironman, and he doesn't go and do Ironmans,
Right.
regularly. It's like you might do 2 to 5 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's a little unknown once you get past that 8 hour mark.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then the heat, the
And
added layer of the heat.
yeah, conditions
How do
like,
you, yeah.
yeah.
How do you, or I guess what products do you use, and do you try and mix up, if it's a brand with flavors, do you try and mix that up to avoid like flavor fatigue, or how do you
Yeah,
choose that?
we use like a bunch of different gels typically. Like during
Mm.
the race, I'll probably have 5 different brands, and
Yeah.
maybe like 7 different varieties of
Hmm.
gels,
Yeah.
like or maybe even more
Hmm.
flavors, like the makeup, the texture, caffeine, not caffeine, isotonic, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing, which is really nice, I think. Back in the day, I would just like get the same like
Hmm.
filthy pineapple goo and have that all day and just hate it.
Yeah.
But that's different now. You can have different products, and maybe some like chews, like, so
Hmm.
the intake is a little different.
Yeah.
The drink mix, like, we keep the same. So use like a scratch, the high carb scratch.
Hmm.
It's pretty neutral flavor. I don't really feel like it has much of a flavor. But yeah, that one, like, because you're mixing it to a certain amount, like, it's important to keep it pretty the same.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, with gels for sure, changing it up a lot. And probably nothing more solid than a energy chew.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you stagger the chews like earlier or save them for later, or caffeine for later, or how do you think about those things?
Yeah, caffeine. I will hit a bit later in Unbound, so maybe like the
Hmm.
last couple of hours, just trying to really lock up on that. Um, and it depends on the heat as well. I think just like how the muscles are feeling, whether you're having any cramps sneaking in. But things like the pickle juice I've used in the past to a good effect if you
Mm-hmm.
can keep it down.
Yeah. So you're doing like the little 5 hour energy size, like pickle juice shots? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in the past I've had good results with that. Like I've felt cramp coming on, and seems to combat it. Even like a
Nice.
precautionary one is not
Mm-hmm.
bad. It takes a little bit to stomach, but yeah, if you can, I think it's good to stay on top of that. Yeah, and then caffeine, like with caution, I guess. But that's the plan. Like is to consume probably 200 or 300 grams of that milligrams. Sorry, in the last couple of hours, and then sort of try and get some perk back into the body.
Yeah, a little pep in
Yeah.
your step for the finish. That's great. So kind of taking us maybe forward in a sense from today, but before the race, what does your nutrition look like in the days before a race? Are you changing things? Are you trying to increase fiber, or sorry, decrease fiber, increase carbs? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's that for sure. Yeah, decrease fiber, start to carb load. Maybe like for this one, probably 3 days out.
Hmm.
I think I don't like the feeling of being just doughy and heavy. So it's like you want to like be able to get through your preparation workouts and rides nicely and feel
Hmm.
like they're well fueled, but not like over the top.
Hmm.
And then yeah, afternoon before the race, night before the race, really loading up. I usually just have a lot of rice.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is fine by me. It's like pretty plain and boring, but rice with a lot of salt. I try and load up the
Yeah.
salt, so I don't have to really think about that. But yeah, just like feeling maybe if you're, I mean, it's a iffy subject, but like in the block of training before the race, you want to like make sure you're getting a bit finer to the line, like a bit closer to
Mm.
fueling correctly and not over fueling. But I think in the week of the race, you're like tending to like err on the side of more is better. So
Hmm.
fueling the workouts in the week of the race, the week before the race, and um, yeah, not underdoing anything or going too close to the line ever. You have to kind of keep in mind that it's a power to weight sport, so you don't want to be like doing that all the time. But yeah, when
Hmm.
you have a challenge like this incoming, I think it's important to yeah, really fuel well that week and not be too concerned.
Hmm. Yeah. Talking about the power to weight portion of it and like what you mentioned earlier on of only consuming like your like would you say tw 10 gels over a 5 hour race or something like that and trying to be light. Did you notice through that like that shift in whether it was like the social shift in the knowledge and literature and that kind of stuff, but changing your fueling routine and did you increase body weight at all, or did you just notice like when you were fueling better, did you improve your power to weight ratio, or what kind of things did you notice?
Yeah, for sure. The strategy I would always use to try and lose weight was to eat less and
Hmm.
underfuel workouts, which at the time seemed like a really good strategy, and it kind of makes sense if you're having a deficit.
Yeah.
And it was a time particularly in Australian cycling, where it was this culture was pretty. I think obviously in Europe as well, but
Hmm.
um, in the scene that I was in, it was like pretty uh, well known that's how you would lose weight and lean up. It's to underfuel and like go training on Red Bull and caffeine and like that kind of thing. And yeah, it makes sense, but it sort of doesn't make sense to fuel the work that you're doing when you really get into the calories that you're burning in the workouts and in the races.
Yeah.
It makes no sense at all. And I guess it's probably only like the last couple of years that I've really started, or even more recently, started to get on top of like my diet and be eating the right amount. And I think the timing of when you're eating and fueling your workouts and makes I'm probably leaner now, and I feel leaner, and I feel healthier, and I feel um, stronger. Like I feel
Yeah.
really strong in myself, and I feel like if I fall off like the good diet for a while,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, travel or whatever, I'm just like not on top of it. I can kind of almost feel that out training. I feel like I'm not well supplemented. I'm not well,
Yeah.
like I don't feel strong. I feel kind of, I don't know. I can feel that shift when you really have um, a good diet and a good focus on it, and you're maintaining it. You're eating close to your training afterwards. Um, I have a busy schedule back home. I've got a 5-year-old daughter and running
Hmm.
around kind of after her. And this now my training is so long that it's a rush to get to her to pick her up from daycare or school or whatever. So I find that sometimes I just have a recovery and get in the car and go. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's those days that I really suffer later on. And I think, yeah, the way if you can have a really well-rounded meal close to the finish of your training, that really helps. And nutritious meals. I went through a lot of my career. I guess I figured just any kind of fuel is fuel. It doesn't matter what it is. But more recently, it's like, and evidently to myself, other than obviously there's a lot of literature and a lot of information out there that suggests so. But personally, just having had a more balanced diet and being more consistent with that, I totally notice it now. And um, yeah, I just feel better within myself, and
Hmm.
that's really nice.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. I mean, like you're saying, you're fueling the work that you're doing, but you're also allowing your body to recover and adapt to those things. So, and then you're probably better regulating like your cortisol response and
Yeah,
supporting hormone production and all of those things when you have energy available to allocate to those things. So, and then more real food nutrition just means more antioxidants, which helps with your oxidative stress and tissue damage and all that. So, immune system, everything. I think a lot of people in endurance athletes struggle to hit their energy demands because of how many calories they're burning in their training session. It's a lot of energy to fuel the body or recover the body. And so, yeah, they end up under fueling just maybe even unintentionally. Or it's just hard, like volume wise, their gut's not used to tolerating that much food. And just with the act of the endurance training, sometimes there's stress on the gut from that too. So yeah, I think that's good for people to hear. There's been handfuls of athletes who have had like a very similar experience where it was whether it was like restrict to be lighter or leaner and think like in running too, like think you're going to be faster and then injuries happen and then they start fueling and then now they're like podiuming and yeah, it's really great to hear and see that shift too because I think it was
yeah, it's a shift, and I think it does depend a little bit on the race or the challenge
hmm
you're taking on as to how you feel ahead of that. Maybe like this race here, even though I am in good shape and I'm lean and healthy, um, it's like, well, this race is a flat. Um,
hmm
it's a flat 200-mile race, and you don't need to be that light.
hmm
And I think we're probably seeing a shift in like the body type that
yeah.
is good at this type of challenge, or effort. And it's kind of nice to, I mean, the world tour is a different game, and they're very very good at calculating to the finest point, and they've got that dial. But like, for us, I think in this sport, it's more, it's a can be up to a 10-hour effort, and
hmm
you really need something incredible, and you need to be able to draw on your reserves, and you need to like just go to that extra place and pull
hmm
something from your body that, and you can't do that from a diminished body. I feel like,
Right.
in any sense. So I don't know. It's like kind of somewhat comforting that like there's a and all kinds of body types can win these
hmm
longer, like super challenging, just like once in a year efforts.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if we move to the night before the race, how how are you laying out your nutrition? Are I'd heard something or like do you do certain like pockets in your back for like certain combos or hours, or do you do that? Did I hear that
Yeah, like the
before?
other day, yesterday we planned it out for this training ride I did, and yeah, I alternate between like a high carb gel and a
Mm,
what I call smaller or low carb gel, which is like
mhm.
40 grams, say, versus 20 grams.
Yeah.
I think on repeat for me, the 40-gram gel or more is too much. It really eats me up,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I think a low carb, like a 20-gram gel with maybe like isotonic one or a different texture is nice to break it up. So I'd swap that. I have like the high carbs in one
Mm,
and the smaller ones in the other, and then like a carb with pocket with like caffeine gels if I
yeah.
have those on hand. But yeah, in this race we have the two aid stations at Unbound, and yeah, I probably just add like two or three extra gels per stop to make sure
Mm,
that it's going to be okay.
yeah.
It's like pretty devastating to feel like you're running out and you're searching your pockets for fuel.
Yeah.
Um, and you never want that feeling, I guess. And I guess once like even yesterday, I took food for like I wasn't sure how far I was going to do. A minimum of like 6 hours, but I took fuel for 8.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, um, when I was getting a little bit like coming apart a little bit in the effort, I just had some extra fuel, and it's nice to like have it there. Just to it's a little like comforting hug or something. You have
Yeah.
enough gel, and like, no, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's smart. Do you set a timer on your like Garmin or whatever you use on your handlebars to remind you to eat, or how do you like go about that?
Yeah, I set a new one actually today
Mm,
on my Wahoo. I have yeah, just a reminder to eat every like 26 minutes.
yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's like what I kind of work on.
Hmm.
It depends what you're having as well, obviously, but that regular interval is nice, and I've got like a
Yeah.
little message there as well to keep my head in the game. So it's
That's great.
reminder, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So with something like that, on that note, like how when things start getting really hard or you get dropped from the pack or you get a puncture or something like that, how like what is your mindset like and how do you keep going? Like keep your body and mind to keep going and not kind of go the other direction.
Yeah, it's hard, and I think it's hard if you haven't had these experiences before. Like the first
Mm-hmm.
time you get a flat tire in a race, it's race over. Maybe the second time you try and fix it and you get to the finish. The third time maybe you fix it and you get back to the group. Um, it's how I work on it, and it's I when I just have to draw on past experiences. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I say, I've been at it for 20 years almost, and I've had a lot of those things happen. Like here last year at Unbound, I had 3 flat tires. And came back like 3 times, and then ended up riding on a flat tire to like 80 kilometers
Wow.
to the second aid. And yeah, I don't know. I just find in those moments I'm like constantly like building my suitcase of times that I've overcome things before, and I just draw on that and I just apply it. And
Yeah.
it's hard because there's frustration, obviously. Like last year, I was in the front of the race doing all the things right, and I still hit a rock in a climb, and that was it.
Mm,
That was like disaster from then on to the finish.
shoot.
I came back to like 15th place, and it wasn't bad, but it's like what could have been sort of thing. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of like it's really hard, but you have to stay cool in the moment and yeah, do what you can to keep a cool head and like overcome whatever it is. So whether you need to like stop, fix a flat, get going, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever you've had go wrong, I think I do feel a bit of autopilot kicking as well at that point. It's just like, all right, this has happened, fix it, and we can get back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a matter of like experience really,
Mm,
and the first time that kind of thing happens, it's challenging and it's hard to keep a cool head and hard to fix it and hard to continue. But
mm-hmm.
yeah, I just have a big list of things that I've written down over the time, and I just draw on that.
That's good. Yeah, the toolbox, like you're saying, is a good thing to have. I've heard that from a lot of our athletes where they yeah, kind of think back to like I've done things that are a lot harder than this and I signed up for this. And so yeah, using those as your motivation to keep going, I think is a good resource to be able to have those to fall back on. Okay, so when you finish the race, you cross the line. What is happening in those next couple of hours with regards to hydration, nutrition, cooling? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's something I've been like putting more of a focus on, particularly when I've got Unbound as a big goal of mine. So
Mhm.
the trouble with it is the timing in the year. It's like if it was in say April, then I could do a whole summer block, and without any
Mm,
racing, I could just focus, do all the practice fueling, do all that, and it'd be all set. But the way it falls is like we have a bunch of racing early in the year, and for me particularly, I have a lot of travel back and forward from the US, and it's hard to Like I went home after I did a block for Sea Otter, and then I went home and had two races with travel back home, and then travel back here. So it's like I'm not logging these huge weeks.
mhm.
So what I put in place was that, you know, I'm going to be training through some of these races, and I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things in recovery, and I'm not like skimping on the recovery after these races, because these races are forming part of my preparation for this big goal.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, that was like, obviously I have my recovery drink always right away after the race. I have a meal as soon as I can after the race, something nutritious,
Nice.
not skimping on quality where I think it really counts there, and like eating as soon as I can
Yeah.
after the race, and then trying to get to bed early that night. I go with Normatex everywhere I go. Um,
Hmm.
so I sit in the Normatex and try and get a good sleep. Um,
Nice.
and hydration obviously is like really important. This is probably an area in the past where I've let slip a little, because it feels like you owe yourself a night off, or like a night
Mm,
focus after doing a race. But I think with bigger goals in mind, or further goals in mind, even just for the training that following week, like you
yeah.
go back to work training on Monday, you need to like be good on Monday to get the most out of that session. Um, so I think that's a change that I've made, and like put more focus on that in the post race. So yeah, it's an area that I think deserves attention.
Hmm.
I guess you also need to like enjoy what you've completed, which for me
Yeah.
hopefully comes after Unbound. Hopefully I can enjoy that by going out for a meal or whatever. But
Hmm.
I think it's something I've really focused on, and I think hopefully it's going to pay off.
That's great. That's great. With your recovery shake, is that like a whey-based shake or what do you do go do?
We usually use the Ultragen, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is like pretty high calorie,
Hmm.
carbohydrates and protein. I think
Nice.
I don't have that like daily, but after hard training, that's what
Yeah.
I have. So like it's almost like 400 calories, I think,
Hmm.
which is a really good hit of carbs right after your effort. But yeah, you just need to like put a focus on getting that to yourself as soon as you can, which is hard and takes effort. You have to like obviously be organized and have it in
Hmm.
the right place before the event. These events are like tricky to prepare for, and you have
Yeah.
kind of things going on everywhere. And fortunately, when you have like staff to help out, it's a lot easier. But even when you're coming through the ranks, I think like those are the little pieces that make a difference, and get overlooked, because you think the work's done, but really,
Yeah.
you're on to the next thing pretty soon. So
Yeah. Are you hungry for those things when you cross the finish line or is that kind of like a force feed at that point?
I don't mind having the shake. I think the flavor's good, honestly, and I think
Good.
like it's nice to have. It's different to what you've been consuming,
Hmm.
which is like just, I mean, it's a sweet thing, but it's like it's not like, I don't know, it's different. It's not a gel. It's not like a sugary drink mix. So I've got no problem getting it down.
That's great. That's great. Okay, I'll finish up since we're getting close on time here with a couple questions and then some quick fire stuff for you. So for amateur gravel cyclists aiming to improve their performance, what key nutrition or hydration strategies would you recommend based on your experience?
I think yeah, the amount of fuel you can consume. So trying to exceed 100 grams per hour is good. And I think also it's like easy to say, oh yeah, I have 100 grams per hour or whatever, but then diving into, are you actually doing that? Like, are you keeping an eye on the clock? Are you getting 100 grams in within the hour, and then the next hour, or are you like losing track and
Hmm.
finishing with 5 or 6 gels in your pockets that you didn't have because you weren't keeping on top of it? So I think like consistency with that, and targeting an amount. I like to look at the race on a whole. Like, okay, it's going to take 6 hours. I need however many grams, 700 grams or 800 grams, whatever you need.
Hmm.
And knowing that you have that on you, or you have the access to that throughout the race, and then making sure you get through it all and don't finish with anything in your pockets.
Yeah, nice. Do you ever bring like a backup gel just in case you drop one or things like that?
Yeah, yeah, always
Yeah.
two or three to be honest,
Yeah.
because sometimes, like I was saying, you get beyond the point of like comfort, and you feel like you're playing catch up, and it's if you don't have that stuff there, even if you just know it's there, like a spare,
Hmm.
um, that's a nice feeling, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, are there any common misconceptions about sports nutrition in the endurance cycling world that you frequently encounter?
Um, Probably around that like correct fueling and eating before and after training. I think
Mm,
there's still some relics of people who are trying to lose weight
mhm.
in the wrong ways,
Yeah,
under fueling, and I think you can sort of do that kind of thing, but you need to like be strategic and not you need to plan. You have obviously a training plan. You need to like have a nutrition plan as well for that period of training, or and yeah, like the timing of when you're eating and consuming and fueling is important, as is the timing of when you're resting. You don't need to be over fueling. So I
right.
think it's very much a timing thing, and but yeah, I think that's still, there's still bits and pieces of that around in our sport.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Okay, I'll jump to our this or that questions, quick fire questions for you. We might have gotten some of the answers to these through the episode, but gels or bars during a race?
Gels in the race, yeah.
Electrolyte tablets or drink mix?
For racing, drink mix. For around the house, electrolyte tablets.
What's your pre-race meal? I forgot to ask you that.
um, I don't have like a go-to. It's
Yeah.
some kind of either pasta or rice with chicken.
For on race morning? Nice. Pasta and rice.
Oh,
Okay.
race morning, it's pancakes.
Okay, nice. All right. Let's see. Post-race recovery, it says we say protein shake or whole food, but it sounds like you do a little bit of both. And then when you're doing your training session, do you ever do real food or do you rely primarily on sports nutrition products?
Mostly products. Sometimes I like pack some nice big chunky cookies.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Okay, so that's the end of our quick fire questions. What is coming up next for you? I mean, we know Unbound's coming up, but what are you doing the whole Lifetime Grand Prix series? Awesome. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah. So we got Unbound, then I head home for a block, back to Australia, and then come for Leadville.
mhm,
Yeah, Leadville's basically next after Unbound.
nice. All right. Okay, one last question since I started talking about the Australia thing. How do you help your jet lag adjustment?
Um, I I use sleeping tablets to
Oh, melatonin.
like a medicated one actually.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
on the flight, so I usually get a really good sleep on the flight. Like on the way here, I slept 11 hours, which is
Nice.
way
Oh my
more than I
gosh.
sleep. And then I usually have one again the night that I arrive. So I usually arrive in the afternoon or evening. It depends where I'm going, and then I only have to stay awake for a few hours. And as long as I make it to like a normal bedtime, have a sleeping tablet, have a full night's sleep, um, and then usually that kicks me off fine. Um,
Nice. So
and I
just
can
like a couple nights to do the sleeping tablet and get in the flow.
usually just the first night. I don't like to have that, but it's like it's
Yeah.
part of how I'm having to operate now. Like I always
Mhm.
have the pillar magnesium
Hmm.
as well, which I think helps. But yeah, I use it to get through the flight and not like be deprived, and I also use the sleeping tablet to the first night, and then I'm in the rhythm of like sleeping in a normal time,
Yeah.
waking up at a normal time, and usually that kicks me off. This year I'm traveling earlier to the races here because
Mm.
of that reason. Like last year I got here on the Tuesday before Unbound and raced Saturday, and it's just I think it's not enough time.
Yeah.
Um, I almost like think it's similar to altitude. Like
Mm.
you probably get there like a couple of days before, and like you'd be pretty scattered, but maybe you could get
Hmm.
through it, or you need to come like 2 weeks before
Right.
and
Yeah.
adapt. So
That's
that's,
interesting. They
but
should do
no,
a study on that.
yeah, I feel like I'm kind of on top of it. I mean, I have, like I say, it's part of the way I do my season, and I have to be good at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. That's certainly a skill you have to master. And not a lot of people know how to master it. So that's good. Awesome. Well, we will certainly be cheering for you from afar when we're watching. We'll be following the Lifetime Grand Prix for sure. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing, yeah, sharing this hour with us and your knowledge and experience.
no worries. Thank you.